Let's take a look at the rule of thirds. The rule of thirds is something often talked about in photography. With the rule of thirds, the main subject is not placed in the center of the composition. As a result, the design often looks more dynamic and interesting. The picture plane is divided into thirds evenly, both vertically and horizontally. The areas where the vertical and horizontal lines overlap are called sweet spots. Sweet spots are areas where you place the focal point and accents, or areas of interest. So this is an example of not using the rule of thirds. You can see that the silhouette of the sailboat is almost dead center, as is the horizon line. Now, in this piece, it's been corrected. What's the emphasis that you're getting on this? Notice how the horizontal line has been placed in the upper third of the piece, and we have the focal point, which is this little boat right here on the sweet spot. Using the same photo, this is another example of how to do the rule of thirds. In this case, they've moved the horizon line to the bottom third of the grid. They've still kept the photo of the, I'm sorry, the image of the boat in on the sweet spot. So I often use the rule of thirds in my personal work. It doesn't work for every photo or image. So it's not kind of something you can always use, but for a lot of pieces it lends itself well. What I do is I don't use all 4 sweet spots. Remember the rule of odds. Odd numbers of items are more pleasing on an unconscious level. Using all 4 sweet spots runs the risk of the composition becoming stagnant. I also prefer the picture plane to be divided vertically or horizontally, using either vertical or horizontal lines as the main emphasis. Sometimes I do use both. So when I emphasize the horizontal lines of the rule of thirds, I first have to designate what is the horizon. You need to think beyond the technical definition of a horizon line. Move the horizon line out of the center of the picture plane. In this example, the horizon line has been moved down to the bottom third. Here's an example where the horizon line has been moved in the top third. You can also divide the picture plane in 1/3 marks vertically. Sometimes you can't find a horizon line, for example, in this piece right here, or you have a horizon line that is so vague that it feels non-existent. You can still make this concept work while using this grid. The eye is an important feature to humans and animals alike. Having the eye in the sweet spot is a nice touch on this piece. In this one, the horizon line is actually a little bit below the third mark. I was emphasizing more the man who is the fisherman. Otherwise, if it had been lowered, it would have cut off the tops of the mountains, which I think are an important part of the composition. Now, here's a case where both of the vertical lines are being used. And this, again, is one that you have to be careful about, because if it's too close in size of the items that you have on there, it can become stagnant. The thing that's nice in this one is that we have this person closer to the viewer and this one further away. So we're kind of creating this nice kind of triangular flow between them. So I think that's why this works well in this. So you can do this, but again, you have to give it some careful consideration. Sometimes I like to use both the vertical and the horizontal. So in this case, we've got the large wave is the vertical, and we've got this horizon line down in here.